Hello friends, welcome again to my page. I'm going to make a response since the Muslim cleric Jingir made a statement about Christians. Made a speech in the north where there are three governors and say Christians are infidel. I have not had an opportunity to respond to that, despite that I have it on my desk that I'm going to respond to that. So I'm going to do that justice now. Since he made that statement, I've tried to make some research on the internet to see if he has made other things and see what people are saying. Before I give my opinions out, I respond. Before I respond and give my opinion, I'd like to scan the net and see what people are saying, both the good and the bad. And I would like to be in the middle, and then give my own opinion or my own response to what all the people are saying. So, and there's something that caught my attention on the internet that was reported by Daily Times, where Sani Yahaya, aviation minister, has condemned Sheikh Sani Yahaya Jingir reported comment on Nigeria. He said that is going to, I'm just trying to paraphrase or summarize what he said, that making such a statement is going to cause APC votes, that no Christian is going to like to vote for his party for that comment, and he encouraged or he advised the Sheikh to apologize. And I decided it's okay. I'm going to make a forceful response to that and then condemn the reported remarks without attacking a Muslim group. So I'm going to give my own forceful response that condemns the reported remarks without attacking a Muslim as a group. Now, one thing we have to understand, friends, is that no religion should be used to dehumanize Nigerians. Sheikh Jingir must understand that the danger of his words. Now, Sani Yahaya is absolutely right to raise the alarm over the reported comments, attributed to Sheikh Sani Yahaya Jingir concerning Christians. If the reported words that Christians are infidels, that Christians are infidels and should be enslaved, are an accurate representation of what was said, then this is not ordinary political rhetoric. This could tear the country apart or turn the country upside down. It is an extremely dangerous and unacceptable message in a country as religiously and ethnically diverse as Nigeria. I'm going to be subtle and mindful and be calculated in my choice of words in this particular video, in this particular response. Nigeria belongs to Muslims, Christians, and people of every other faith and none. No Nigeria is second-class citizen because of his or her religion. And no religious leader, regardless of how influential or respected he may be, should suggest otherwise. Now, Christians are not infidels to be enslaved. A Christian in Nigeria is not a foreigner in Nigeria. A Muslim Nigerian is not a foreigner in Nigeria. We are citizens of the same country. We swore an oath to abide by the rules governing Nigeria. We are the same people living in the same nation, but diverse in our cultures. We share the same roots. We trade together. We work together. We serve in the same military. We attend the same universities. We build the same businesses. We live in the same communities. We have married across religious lines. And millions of Nigerian families contain both Christians and Muslims. So when anyone describes fellow citizens as a people who should be enslaved because of their religion, that language strikes at the very foundation of Nigerian nationhood. It must be condemned. Not only condemned, it must be condemned in totality. But what is appalling is that since this statement was made, the president have no reason to the occasion to condemn that statement. And what do they say? They say, silence speak louder. We can't have a leader that cannot condemn such a statement. We can't have a leader and observe such a statement is made to a particular religion, a country where he governs. Have never uttered a word to condemn it in totality, but rather silence. That is why leadership in Nigeria is the core of the problem of democracy in Nigeria. When you have people who have never seen the four walls of the school, been in the seat of power with enormous power, then why are we in this situation? For any citizen to rise up and condemn one religion and without any consequences, then that nation has failed. The leader of that nation has failed its people and failed the Nigeria in totality. But let us be very clear. This is not an attack on Islam. This distinction is extremely important. Condemning an individual statement is not the same thing as condemning an entire religion. Millions of Nigerian Muslims rejected hatred, extremism, religious condemnations, religious dominations, and violence. They are our neighbors. They are our colleagues. They are our friends. They are our brothers and sisters. They deserve respect. And many Nigerian Muslims have themselves suffered from terrorism, extremism, and religious violence. Therefore, the answer to inflammatory religious rhetoric cannot be anti-Muslim rhetoric. The answer must be equal citizenship, freedom of religion, mutual respect, constitutional democracy, and rule of law. This is where Sani Yahaya's warning becomes political significant. Sani Yahaya's statement that Christians will not support a political party that is perceived to tolerate language describing Christians as infidels raises an important political question. No political party should take the religious support of Nigerian citizens for granted. If a political figure or a cleric makes inflammatory statement that alienate millions of Christians, the political leadership associated with that environment has a responsibility to distance itself clearly and unequivocally from those remarks. And this is where the presidency has failed. Silence cannot create the impression of consent. And in politics, perception matters. If a political party wants to govern a country of more than 200 million of Nigerian people belonging to a different ethnicity and religion, it must demonstrate that it represents all Nigerians, not merely on one religion constituency. President Tinubu should not have chosen between Muslims and Christians. Nigerian president has a responsibility to protect every citizen. The Muslim citizens, the Christian citizens, the traditionalists, the atheists, everyone. Therefore, the appropriate response from political leadership should not be complicated. Since this statement was made, it has not been condemned from the office of the presidency. It should simply be, no Nigerian is an infidel in his own country. No Nigerian should be enslaved because of religion. No Nigerian should be persecuted because of faith. All right? No religious group owns Nigeria. That is the kind of unequivocal message that can calm a country instead of dividing it. Religious leaders have an enormous responsibility. Nigeria's religious leaders have enormous influence. Their words can heal. Their words can heal. Their words can unite. Their words can prevent violence. But their words can also inflame passions and deepen divisions. That responsibility should never be taken lightly. When a religious leader speaks to thousands or millions of people, He is not speaking in an ordinary private conversation. His words carry authority. Therefore, religious leaders should be among the strongest voices against hatred. A Christian cleric should not demonize Muslims. A Muslim cleric should not demonize Christians. Neither should they should tell their followers that another religious community is inherently evil or deserve persecution. The responsibility should be the same both sides. Nigeria has already paid too high a price for religious division. We have seen what happens when political and religious differences are allowed to become hatred. Okay? Communities become suspicious of one another. Young people become radicalized. Okay? Neighbors become enemies. Politicians exploit religious identity. Violence follows. Families lose loved ones. Businesses are destroyed. Entire communities are displaced. And the country becomes weaker as the day goes by. We should have learned enough by now. Nigeria does not need another generation raised to believe that the person praying differently from them is their enemy. Their political class must also stop using religion as a political weapon. This is where the responsibility extends beyond clerics. Politicians must stop exploiting religious identity for electoral advantage. If a politician benefits from inflammatory religious rhetoric, that politician has a responsibility to reject it, condemn it. If a political party believes in constitutional democracy, it should defend the religious freedom of every Nigerian, including people who will never vote for that party. That is what leadership means. And here is the standard we should apply to every Nigerian. If a Christian cleric says Muslims should be enslaved, condemn it. If a Muslim cleric says Christians should be enslaved, condemn it. If a politician uses Christianity to incite hatred against Muslims, condemn it. If a politician uses Islam to incite hatred against Christians, condemn it. If a traditional ruler does it, condemn it. If an activist does it, condemn it. If someone we personally support does it, condemn it. The standard must not change according to who said it. That is the only way to build a credible culture of tolerance. Nigeria is not a Muslim country, neither is it a Christian country. Nigeria is a country of Nigerians. That distinction matters. That distinction matters. The Constitution protects freedom of religion and prohibits discriminations on religious grounds. Then why should somebody call a Christian an infidel? Our citizenship should therefore come before our religion identity when it comes to the rights and responsibility of Nigerian state. A Muslim should be able to walk into a government office without fearing discrimination from a Christian official. A Christian should be able to live in a predominantly Muslim community without fearing persecution. And both should be able to expect the protection of the Nigerian states. That is what citizenship means. If the reported statement was made, an apology is the minimum expectations. If Sheikh Jingir indeed made that reported statement, which I believe he does, that Christians are infidel, he should be enslaved, that they should be enslaved, then an unequivocal withdrawal and apology would be inappropriate to start with. Not because Christians need permissions to exist. Christians do not need permission to exist. But because responsible leadership requires accountability. A religious leader should be able to say those words were wrong. I withdraw them and I apologize. Christians are fellow Nigerians and must be treated with dignity and respect. That will be leadership. That will be courage. That will be nation building. The same message must go to Christian leadership. And the principle must work both ways. Christian leaders must also understand that Muslims are not Nigerian enemies. Muslims are not foreigners. Muslims are not inferior citizens. Muslims have exactly the same right to live, worship, work, and participate in Nigerian political life. If we demand tolerance from one side while excusing tolerance from our own side, we are not defending peace. We are simply choosing which hatred we are comfortable with. Nigerians deserve better. Nigerians deserve better. This is bigger than Fani Kayode, Jingir, or Tinubu, the personalities will eventually disappear from the political stage. The consequences of religious hatred can last for generations. That is why this conversation must raise above personalities. The real question is, what kind of Nigeria do we want? A Nigeria where Muslims and Christians compete politically but respect one another? Or a Nigeria where religious identity determines who deserves rights? A Nigeria where politicians seek votes from everyone? Or a Nigeria where politicians mobilize one religion against another? A Nigeria where religious leaders preach peace? Or one where religious authority is used to justify domination? The answer should be obviously no. Nigeria must choose unity over religious supremacy. No Nigerian should have to apologize for being Christian, and no Nigerian should have to apologize for being Muslim. No Nigerian should ever have to fear another Nigerian because of their religion. And no Nigerian leader should have the moral authority to tell Nigerians that their fellow citizens deserve enslavement because they worship differently. Nigeria belongs to all of us, okay? Not to Muslims, not to Christians, not to APC, not to PDP, not to Labour Party, not to NDC, not to any ethnic group. Nigeria belongs to Nigerians. And I'll keep emphasizing that all the time. And anyone seeking political power in Nigeria must understand that one fundamental truth: you cannot build a nation by making half of its citizens feel like second-class human beings. If Sheikh Jingir reported words are accurate, he should retract them and apologize. If political leaders benefit from such rhetoric, they should distance themselves from it. If Christian leaders make equally inflammatory statements, they should be condemned as well. And if we truly love Nigeria, we must refuse to allow religion to become a weapon of political mobilization. Muslims and Christians are not enemies. They are Nigerians. We are all Nigerians. And Nigerians' future depends on learning to live together, not as two opposing enemies, but as citizens of one country with equal rights, equal dignity, and equal protection under the law. Not slavery. No religious supremacy. No persecution. No intimidation. No second-class citizenship. One Nigeria, equal citizenship, equal rights. Thank you for watching. I've said all I have to say about this issue. Let me hear from you guys. Bye.